Over the last several years, having a cable system in your gym has gone from something that's kind of an expensive luxury item to something that seems to be built into just about every major piece that you could buy for your gym. But what if you're that guy out there who has a rack that you love, you're not looking to replace it, and you don't have room in your gym for something separate? What are you supposed to do? Well, today on the GymCrafter YouTube channel, we're going to look at one possible solution to that problem. Welcome back to GymCrafter, everybody. My name is Tim. I am the head gym nerd here at the GymCrafter YouTube channel, the channel that I built to help ordinary folks like you and I build home and garage gyms that we absolutely love. And it is Friday, everyone. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. I hope you're looking forward to a good weekend. And I have got a quick one for you today, but it's been one that I've been trying to figure out a way to bring to you guys because I don't actually have a place to put this thing in my gym. But I still wanted to show it to you because I know a lot of you guys have asked about it. It's a new product to the market. It's a very inexpensive version of something that's been out. And I think it's time to just unbox it and show it to you guys. And it is this thing right here. This, in this box, is the Fringe Sport SideWing pulley system. And what this is this is a way for you guys out there who have a rack to add a pulley system and a way to work out with cables onto your rack without adding a freestanding cable machine, without replacing your rack or anything like that. Now, this has been sitting in my living room for a couple of months. So sorry, Fringe Sport, they sent it to me a while back and I just don't have a place to actually mount it in my gym. So we're gonna figure that out here today on the video. But I figured the least I could do was unbox it, show it to you guys, give you my first impressions. And I'm gonna try and figure out a way to mount it on one of these uprights back here and at least give it a little bit of a whirl to see what you think. And I'm also gonna give you guys some other options for products like this because this isn't the first of its kind, but it is one of the least expensive of its kind. So if it works even halfway decent, it's going to be a great value for a lot of you guys. So let's get this box open. Let's see what's inside and we will go from there. Taking the lid off, this is going to be a typical Fringe Sport type of packaging job. We've got a box with all of the parts kind of loose and bubble wrapped inside. I got some extra packaging thrown in. Looks like everything's packed really, really well. Here's all the bolts and everything that are going to put it together. And then let's take a look at these instructions. And it looks like this is going to be actually pretty simple to put in. So we've got that. First thing that I unwrapped are these guys right here. I've seen other reviewers mention this and I've seen them make a big deal out of that they're a high quality. These are wire cutters and they are actually a nice high quality. I'm a tool guy. These are actually pretty nice. And what these are for is because this is a universal thing. Now, Fringe Sport's philosophy is they want to have kind of a universal fit. They want you to buy their products and rack attachments and be able to use them on anything. And that means that this is going to come with probably a longer cable than most of us will need. And we will have to cut it to size. And if you don't have a big old toolbox full of tools, that means you got to go out and buy one of these. If you've ever bought good tools before, this is probably a $20 or $30 add-on. I've seen people call it out as much more than that. I don't know that it's that much, but it's going to get the job done. It's not going to break on the first try. So this is going to save you 20, 30 bucks plus a trip to the store to buy something just to put this in. So that's a nice little addition in here. Next, we've got a length of chain and 4 carabiners. This is going to be able to do a couple of different movements for you, both rowing and kind of pull down type of stuff. So you're going to need this depending on what you're actually doing. Next piece out of the box is a pulley. This is a red anodized aluminum pulley, exactly like what you find in the Dane behind me. There are bearings inside of it, so as long as this works like the Dane does, this should provide a nice smooth pull for your cables. Next out of the box is a cable. I'm anxious to put this on. Now it does have the ends already put on it, but this is just like the cable on the Dane. This little plastic part scoots back and there's a couple set screws in here. So if you do need to change the cable length, you'll be able to remove those set screws, cut the cable to length and put it back together. But here's the cable it comes with. And it looks like a nice smooth jacketed cable, nice and thick. This is your weight post. This is what you're going to put your weight plates on. This is a plate loaded system. What's going to happen is the carabiner is going to hook onto here and it's going to move up and down. This is a nice long post. I wasn't sure in the ads how big this is going to be. It looks like you can fit about 6 45-pound plates on here. We'll definitely test that. But that would give you quite a bit of weight, 270 pounds or so. And if you've got thinner plates, you'll be able to fit much more. Powder coat is decent. It's your average Fringe Sport powder coat. Nothing to write home about, but still decent. The nice thing on this is the welds are actually really, really nice. Normally on pieces like this, especially at this price point, you're gonna see these like blotchy welds and things. These are nice and smooth. They're still robotic welds, you can tell, but they're actually really well applied and a little bit better made than I was expecting on this. So that's a nice benefit on this. There's this. I have no idea what this is. And here is the main unit of the SideWing. There is no assembly required for this. All you have to do is attach this and then the other pulley on the rack. The other pulley is for when you want to row. This is all you're going to need if you're going to do a pull down. The cables are already routed through here. Really nice. Again, you've got two more red aluminum pulleys here that are smaller, and then you've got a central aluminum pulley that's not red, but a much wider diameter. So these larger diameter pulleys typically make things nice and smooth, and this is going to be universal as well. You can see on the end here that there are 5/8 and 1-inch holes on here. So once I get this put on, we'll be able to see that it'll fit really any rack. Again, back to that universal fit system. But since this is a fast Friday video, and we probably aren't all that fast so far, let me get this put on to the one of the uprights behind me, and I'll tell you how it goes on and show you how it works. As far as installation goes, this thing goes on no problem. It's gonna come with 3 1-inch bolts and 3 5/8 bolts. You're basically gonna put this on your upright. You're gonna put 2 bolts in through the back. There's a plate. That plate that I held up actually goes between the bolt heads and the upright, and screw those in, and you put another bolt in through this way. And this thing is on here rock solid. Lately, I've kind of knocked Fringe Sport a couple times for their tolerances. This thing has great tolerances. I'm actually really surprised at how stable and sturdy this is. This feels just like a built-in part of your rack. The front pulley swivels, which is really nice. The pull is very smooth, which I'll show you in a second. And then you basically have off of the front, this is where you're gonna do your pull downs from. And then over here on the side is the SideWing, where it goes out, and this cable goes down to the weights. I pulled it a few times. The pull is very, very smooth. So I definitely like the way that it feels. You're not gonna have any issues with a lot of resistance. I might go in and actually lubricate the bearings a little bit and play with that to get it just a touch smoother. But overall, for the price, it's really, really great. Another nice thing that I like is this swivels back and forth, so you can pull really from any angle across the front. And then down here on the bottom, there's another pulley which screws on through the front with just a kind of a twist knob. And what that does is that allows you to run another cable down through the front and then out, so that you can actually row from different heights. So this is going to be a lot more versatile than a lot of the ones that you're going to see out there that are like this. So as far as installation goes, it's great. Now I have mine, as I look at my rack, on the right-hand side of the rack. The Fringe Sport logo, which is really nice nameplate here, is upright. What you can do though is you can put it on the other side. What you would do is just flip it around upside down. This is going to rotate upside down like that. And then what's going to happen is you're going to take this pulley over here, move it to the other section up on top so that it's on the bottom, flip the nameplate around if it bothers you, and then you're going to be able to put this on either side. You can also order 2 of these. So if you want to make your rack into a functional trainer, very similar to the Dane, but just have a plate-loaded piece on either side, you can do that. I would also tell you that this goes on and off very quickly. Under probably 2 minutes to get the whole thing assembled and on and off. You're going to spend more time the first time you put it on fiddling with the cables than anything else. So let me show you 2 things down below and we'll wrap this up. Coming down here is where you load the weights, and it's going to be on this particular post right here, which is going to sit up on its own. You load your plates down over the top. It's real simple to take the cable off, get your plates loaded, and add them on. I know one thing that myself and a bunch of other people have always wondered about this type is, does this weight start to pendulum on you and swing? And what I found is that as you pull this, as long as it starts in the center, and again, really nice, smooth pull, no issues whatsoever. It feels really, really good. It feels, like I said, just like something that's built in. There's no shake, there's no wobble, anything like that. And that weight post, because it's fixed to a singular point above, will not start swinging as long as you start it at the right bottom point. So what I had to do when I first did it was I lifted it up, I found the center point, and then once it settled down, I put it down, and then that's where it lives. And as long as you do that, there will be no swinging back and forth. Again, very, very easy to change the weights. It's actually a little bit easier, in my opinion, to change the weights on this than some of the plate-loaded functional trainers, which have weight horns on the inside of the rack where you've got to duck under a Smith machine and kind of wedge yourself into a weird place. I actually found it easier to load these plates than you do those. So really nice, easy way to load it. Let me show you this right here. So here's where I pay the price for not having an actual freestanding rack to show this to you, because I can't actually show this to you. A very important reason I don't want to cut this cable. Wait till the end of the video to see why, because one of you might get this. Here's where you screw the row pulley on, and there's just a little knob back here. Now there is only one thing I wish was different. There's a 5/8" bolt on here. However, once you tighten this on, again, there's really no wiggle or anything like that. It's going to be really nice, same smoothness of the cable. What you're going to do rows is you're going to take this end and connect it, take one end of this cable, connect it to the top cable, and then run this through here so that you can pull out straight. If this was a full-size rack, there would be no problem doing that. And then you have the length of chain that came with if you need to adjust sizes based on the size of your rack. Now you might need to, based on your particular setup, once you get it set up on your rack, adjust the cable lengths, and it shows you how to do that in the instructions. You get the cable cutter to do that. It's very simple. Again, you just slide this little cover back, undo 2 set screws, cut the cable, put it back together. It's very, very easy to do, but that will allow you to customize it for your rack. But this is how it works. Also, this one swivels back and forth as well. So if you want to go off center, or you want to do some movements where you're kind of going back and forth, functional trainer type movements and things like that. While this doesn't slide up and down like a trolley, it's very easy to move up and down. So if you want to do some higher rows or some lower rows on the floor, you can do that, and you're only limited in weight to kind of how many plates you can fit on the post. So let's go back up top. I'm going to give you a couple of comparisons to the competition, and we'll get you back on with your weekend. So to wrap this video up, what I figured we'd do is we'd come up to the office here and do some shopping. If you are out there and you've watched the video this long, odds are you might have a rack you want to add cables to. So I want to kind of go through all of your options, or at least the major options for you. And I can think off the top of my head about 5 different options you have that compete with the SideWing from Fringe Sport. Each of them have their own little quirks and advantages. So let's take a look here and we'll go through each of these. And I want to start with the one that there's probably already some of you furiously typing at your keyboards, the DIY folks, right? Like you can go to Home Depot and for $1.67, you can buy this. And you're absolutely right. Your cable system is something that you can absolutely DIY. I don't know that you'll get the functionality or the ease of use or the ease of setup, but you can definitely do that. If you are on a strict budget, cables are fairly easy to add by doing a little bit of a DIY project at Home Depot, and there's plenty of videos out there that show you how to do that. So that's something I would do. I'm not really a DIY guy in my gym, but it is available. The next thing that you look at, which is almost as inexpensive, is we're going to come over here and take a look at, if you look on Amazon just for gym rack pulley attachment, you're going to see tons of options. You're going to be able to buy things for, $52, get all of your attachments. You've got something down here, which kind of looks a little bit like what we've been talking about with a single pulley and then the weight post. And you can definitely, this is $39. So something like this, again, it's right up there with the DIY stuff. I don't know that it has the same advantages, the same stability, the same flexibility, the same ability to do different things, but it is a way for a couple of bucks to get a pulley system to install on your rack. So those are 2 ways that you can go, but let's assume that you want to do something a little bit nicer, a little bit more versatile, and something maybe a little bit safer and a little bit easier to set up. So the first competitor that comes to mind, and it's really the elephant in the room, is dialed motion. So here we've got the Sidewinder pulley system. So you basically got here, you've got a kind of a wing on the top here, like you have on the SideWing for Fringe, with the cable that goes up and around and then attaches to a pulley system. That this one slides up and down the upright. So this one is going to have a few differences. Number one, dialed motion is known for their smoothness. PRX recently partnered with them to add pulleys to their fold-up racks. I tried those at Home Gym Con. They are extraordinarily smooth and well engineered. Dialed Motion is a great company, and if you're looking for the smoothest possible way to do this, this is probably going to be it. Not that the Fringe Sport isn't smooth, but I would bet side by side, the dialed motion probably feels a little bit smoother. The other nice benefit of this dialed motion piece is that you've got this trolley here that goes up and down. So instead of having to detach and reattach a pulley, you've got that. And then also something that I would point out is over here on the side, you see this little hunk down here by the plate loading. This is probably one of the coolest features of the dialed motion system. And this is their cable retractor. So this is something that you attach right here at the weight post. And then there are 21 feet of cable in here that you can adjust up and down so that no matter where this attachment point is, you don't have to worry about the cable length. And actually, if you go with the Fringe Sport piece, I would actually recommend buying this cable retractor separately. You can get it here on Dialed Motion. I will put a link to both of these items down below in the description so you can take a look at them. But again, for 169 bucks, you add 21 feet of cable. And what this will allow you to do is if you have different height people in your gym, and you want that pull point to start at a different height above you. You want the row point to start at a different point. You want to be able to move things up and down without having extra cable to deal with. This is a really fantastic product. I've used it a few times and it works really, really well and would be a good addition to any cable system that you have. The thing that I don't necessarily like about this one is the fact that your pull point doesn't come off of the upright all that much. One of the things I like about the Fringe Sport is that that top piece is a little over over 12 inches off of the upright. And when you're trying to get a good lat pull down, that allows you to sit directly underneath the pull point and get a much more vertical pull. This one, you're going to be kind of pulling back towards yourself. You're also going to find yourself scooting up maybe a little bit uncomfortably close to the upright. So it's something that I prefer. It's a preference thing, but I do think it has value that that piece would then come out. So here you've got a couple of differences. Price on this particular piece right now, it's listed at $524, so it is about 75 bucks more than the SideWing. If you look over here on Fringe Sport's website, they have it's listed at $449 now. The time I'm recording this, these are the prices. Keep in mind, tariffs are still kind of wreaking havoc with pricing. So make sure you check all the links below. That'll take you right to the current pricing of each piece, including for the Fringe Sport SideWing. So that's the differences. Those are the ones that's the main one I would compare it to, is this guy right here. I think there's pluses and minuses of both. I don't think you'd be unhappy with either. Personally, if it was me, I think the ideal world would be to buy the Fringe Sport SideWing piece and then get this cable retractor here. And I think that that's really, man, that would be a really, really good combination. Now, if you want to do a little bit different setup, they do also on Dialed Motion have this thing called an ibex. And what this does is it gets rid of that single piece that hangs off the side. So for those of you who are really cramped with space and you can afford to give up this back upright back here, this gives you dual weight horns that will pull up and down. Again, this is extraordinarily smooth pulling and a really good solution if you've got this room back here on your rack. Now, this goes up to the $700 price point range, so we are getting a little bit pricey. You're almost to the point, you know, where you can buy a couple of the SideWings, or you could DIY a whole lot of stuff for that price. But Dialed Motion, I got nothing bad to say about them. They just kind of function differently. And again, I think for this too, you've still got the issue with this where you're not off of the front post, so that the pull downs won't be ideal. The next one that I would point out is actually one that's going to be a little bit less expensive, and this is by a company called Surplus Strength, and this is their UPS, their Universal Pulley System. This has been around for a long time, and it runs 325 bucks. It's on sale right now, so I don't know if this is one of those things where it's permanently listed on sale or if it really is on sale. Normally it looks like retail's $400, and then you would add aluminum pulleys for another 50 bucks. So if it is normally 400 bucks and you add that, you're talking about kind of the same price. And what this allows you to do is this allows you to put it over the top cross member of your rack. It's very low profile. I've recommended these quite a few times before to people in basements who don't have room for anything to stick up above the top of your rack. Now, on the Fringe Sport piece, nothing is sticking off the top of your rack. So that's something you don't have to worry about. It's not ever above that top post. So I don't think you have the issue there. The nice thing about the UPS is it integrates. You see, this is a really tight gym space right here. So this gives you the ability to do like a center mount pull point, and kind of mount yourself here in the middle and get your legs strapped down or weighted down by a barbell. So there's a couple nice advantages here. It's a little bit less expensive. The thing that I don't necessarily care for with this is that your weight plate stack is now in the middle of your rack. So this is something that you would end up having to kind of not take on and off, but it's something that you would have to disattach the little weight post and then move the cable off to the side when you're actually using your rack. So for me, that's a non-starter. I've found that over the course of having in my gym and experience that if I have to do extra setup, I just won't end up using it. So the thing I like about the Fringe Sport over this is that I would probably just leave that cable hanging off the side with the weights I normally use already loaded in that post, so that I could just jump up and start using the cable system itself without having to do a lot of setup. Now, that said, there is that other pulley for rows you have to set up, so that is a piece you would have to set up, but that also highlights another difference here, which is we don't have a way to row here. This is just going to be pull downs. DIY folks, you could probably DIY a way to make rows out of this. I'm not sure. Surplus Strength is kind of a custom company, so they may be able to make something for you to do that. The nice thing about this is that it is less expensive and a nice low footprint. And then the last one that you would look at is you would look at the Rogue Monster Slinger. This is going to be a piece that adds to the top of the rack, and this one does add height to your rack. The nice thing about this is you've got several ways to load it. You can load it with bands, you can load it with plates, you can load it with a weight stack. So when I'm comparing it to the Fringe Sport piece, I did kind of build a cart, and after shipping, you're looking at almost $600 for the setup with a plate loaded system. So to be very comparable, the thing that's nice about this, again, very smooth pull, overbuilt like crazy, nice wide diameter pulleys. So again, nice and smooth. The issue with this, again, no real way to do rows without adding some other type of pulley and additional cable system. And again, guys, that's something you could probably DIY yourself. So if you like Rogue and you want to go this route, there's definitely a way to kind of get that put together. It's also nice that you can integrate this into B with a weight stack or with bands. So that's a nice piece of versatility. Again, it doesn't come off the front of the rack all that much. So like when you look down here at this gentleman, who I believe is in this picture might be the smallest person that works at Rogue as far as height goes, because boy, he looks tiny compared to that rack. But if you look here, there's just not a lot of space between where the pull point and the upright is. So that's kind of the comparison there. So there's your main players. They're all within $100 or $200 of each other. They each have a little something that the other one doesn't offer. But in the end, I think if I was buying something for my gym, I think that the SideWing offers a lot of versatility the other ones don't. I like the way that it comes off the side like that. I like the way that it protrudes off the front to get a better pull. I like the way that you can actually add the row. Like I said, if you combine it with this cable retractor, I think you've really got a really good cable addition for your standard rack without having to either buy a new rack or buy a new system or spend a ton of money or spend a ton of time DIYing something. So that's kind of how this compares to the competition, which I thought would be an important point to add into this kind of product overview. Now, what am I going to do with this thing? Because I don't have a standard rack. I have got a freestanding cable stack. I've got an Aries 2.0 behind the camera. I've got the Dane right. I don't need more cable stuff. So I am going to do one of the first ever GymCrafter giveaways. So what I need you to do right now is just go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and then make sure you're checking out the podcasts. And on a future podcast, I've got this, and I think at least one or two other pieces that I'm going to be giving away, and I'm going to run a giveaway in one of the podcast episodes. So that's coming relatively soon, so stay tuned. This is going to live in a box over in the corner. So if you need me to check something on it for you before you order it, let me know. If you have any other questions, please let me know in the comments. With that said, that is your fast-ish Friday for the Fringe Sport SideWing. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching this long. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the video, ring the bell, all of that kind of fun YouTube stuff that helps the channel out and helps you share this type of stuff with other people. And until the next video, whether it's a Fast Friday, a review, a podcast, a setup video, whatever you tune in here at GymCrafter for, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.